Well, today I've traveled to Ephrata, Washington, right in the center of the state. I'm visiting with my good friend, Darc Knobel, who owns and operates the Desert Flying or Fly Shop, which is right in the middle of some of the best quality fly fishing anywhere in the state of Washington. That's a pretty safe statement, wouldn't you say?
Very, very safe statement. I can have quality fishing 365 days a year within an hour of my home or my shop. I can't think of a better place to live or to come fish.
Absolutely. I mean, what we're going to be doing today and talking about mostly is Rocky Ford Creek, which is a big destination in the winter months because it flows ice-free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big attraction.
Yeah, it comes out of the ground at 52 degrees, so we don't freeze up, and you can be right out in the middle of a snowstorm in January and have fish rising to insects.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And lots of other waters around the state are frozen or high, runoff, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful place. Wonderful place to have in
consistently good fishing too. And of course the attraction, as I say in the winter, is that it's ice free. Of course the other attraction is the size and number of the fish available here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And fish to 25 inches
Oh yeah.
does not surprise anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always good numbers of them available. Now, also within, shouting distance of the shop, you have Lake Lenore, which is famous for Loudon Cutthroat,
Mm-hmm.
Dry Falls, which is another excellent quality water,
Mm-hmm.
for rainbow, and are there browns in there as well now too?
Browns, and I believe some tigers as well.
That's right,
And
tiger
then you
trout.
Go up on the plateau and you've got Grimes, and Jameson. You go south, you've got Lanice, Nunley, Mary,
Dusty.
Beta, Dusty. Goes
Oh.
on and on and on.
It does. It
Yep.
just goes
Mhm.
on and on and on. And I tell you, you've had the shop here for how many years now?
About 5 years.
It's been about 5 years too. And I remember when Darc said, well, I'm going to move in back home because you grew up right here.
Well,
in Ephrata, essentially, in this area.
Yeah, I grew up in Pendleton, Oregon, but moved here in the 80s.
That's right.
To make a living at fishing.
To make a living at fishing, and he's been doing it ever since too.
I was hungry for a while.
That's right. I'll tell you what. And I honestly, I was concerned. Darc, what are you doing? You're opening a shop in Ephrata, Washington? And, I said, Dave, when you think about it, I see a lot of happy people. That was one of the things that you said that was different about shops that you had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That you were actually talking to people that were either on the way to, in a very short distance, they were going to arrive at Rocky Ford or Dry Falls or one of these other quality waters.
Yeah.
And when they'd stop on the way back, they were happy people.
Yeah, they're just happy campers.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of a destination store. It really is. As you just, as you say, they're happy people going fishing or coming back from fishing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Well, and one of the things I've been impressed with now, Rocky Ford I fish for, I'm probably thinking at least 15 years, maybe more, and it can be hard on the novice angler.
It can be hard on anybody.
There are days when I just say, Rocky Ford, you did it again, because I'll get down here and thrash the water and get hung up in the bushes, and as you'll see, when we get out and actually fish the stream, there are some challenges just in the casting that you do here. Yeah. And finicky fish and all those other things that make for a challenging fishery. Whenever you get into a quality fishery, there's always some elements that make it interesting. But what keeps you coming back is that good day.
Yeah.
Just
and
like
they
golf.
happen.
And they do happen down here. And when they do, they are days that you're not going to forget, because that means lots of fish and lots of big fish. And one of the things I like about fishing this time of year too is these fish can be red hot.
Some of them can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think these fish are individuals. Some are, spunkier than others, but yeah, you've got the chance of getting a good fish, a good hot
Absolutely.
fish.
Good hot fish, we're talking about airtime and into your backing and all the things
That can happen.
that fly fishermen look forward to.
No, we had one jump 4 or 5 times today.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and that's what I'd say, it's not unusual at all. And and just like any other stream, you're gonna pay your dues. I mean, that's one of the things that I like to do. My wife and I both enjoy learning new waters,
Yep.
introducing people to new waters, and there is always a learning curve. But once you've passed that threshold, paid your dues, and learned the ins and outs of fishing at Rocky Ford, it's a place you want to come back to just about any time of year, too.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fishable
it's-
year-round, it's open year-round.
Yep, absolutely. And so, but you're going to get the advantage of some shortcuts via the tips that Darc is going to share with us. And that will help put you on the road to successful fishing at Rocky Ford.
Boating is something the whole family can enjoy, and it's surprising how affordable a new boat can be from Bob File Boats and Motors. Stop in today and take a look at the largest selection of boats in north central Washington, including top names Bayliner and Tahoe. Bob File Boats and Motors can help you find that boat that fits your needs. And whether it's for fishing or just a ride on the water, you can be sure your new boat will provide hours of fun for years to come. Visit the boating experts today. Bob File Boats and Motors on the Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee, the place to buy a boat.
Smile for Mom.
Honey, you are not gonna believe this. I bought Pepsi Next.
What's Pepsi Next?
It's the new cola from Pepsi. It's got real cola taste, but 60% less sugar.
Real cola taste. 60% less sugar.
Yeah. I know.
It's unbelievable.
But this is the most impressive thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Oh, definitely. Let me get a camera. I've never had anything like it. My parents are gonna flip.
Yeah, they're gonna be so proud.
Introducing Pepsi Next. Drink it to believe it.
Are you getting this, honey? It's going viral.
Darc, if I decided I was going to make a trip over here to Rocky Ford and I started digging my gear out, one of the first things I'm going to wonder is what kind of fly rod I want to bring, what kind of line to put on it, leader material, those types of things. What would you recommend?
Well, I think the best rod for the job would be a 9-foot fiber, 6-weight. 9.5 would be fine. 8.5 starting to get a little bit short with the tall bulrushes out there. 95% of your fishing or more would be with a floating line. Tapered leader would be a 9-foot 3X to a 9-foot 5X with 2 to 3 feet of fluorocarbon tippet, depending on the size of fly that you're using. For your smaller bugs, of course, you're going to use 5 or 6X, and for your bigger bugs like a woolly worm or a leech, you would use 3 or 4X. And you'd want a reel that holds 100 yards of backing with your weight forward 5 or 6, and a disc drag would probably be a good thing to have. However, you'd probably get by with just a standard Paul click drag too.
Sure.
That about sums it up.
That would be a good basic outfit to bring over here, and most people have that kind of a stick in the closet. So,
Yeah.
you know, this is a fishery that's what I like about it too. It's not terribly technical. It gets technical in terms of casting. It can be a challenge. We talked about that earlier. A lot of that has to do with where you're casting. Oftentimes you're surrounded by bulrush and they're in your back cast and that sort of thing.
Yep.
You got to be able to keep your cast high.
Yep, you do. It's challenging.
It is challenging.
I think, the technical brings up a good point. A lot of people come through the doors here and they say, gosh, do you have to use size 18 and 20s, and do you have to use 6X? And it's awful technical, and I don't do that, I don't do much of that kind of fishing. And I think it kind of sways people sometimes from fishing Rocky Ford because they believe that's, the only way to fish it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not at all the case. It's certainly the case at times, but a lot of times you can put an indicator on 4 feet above your 3 feet, 2, 3, 4 feet above your fly, bomb it out there as far as you can, let it drift, with the right fly, and probably catch a fish or two. It doesn't have to be a size 18 or 20.
Right.
And that's a lot of what we were doing today, was fishing this little mini leech. I don't know what he is, he's size 12 or 14.
Yes?
We put him we were in 4 feet of water approximately.
Yep.
Had him 3.5 feet underneath an indicator, chucked him out there as far as we could chuck him, let him drip.
Yeah.
Indicator goes down, set the hook.
That's it.
It's not brain surgery.
Right, right. You know, and that little mini leech is something that's been being used down here for years. It's a very effective pattern. Also, one of the most popular patterns down here is just the little olive scud.
Yep, a little dubbed scud. I've been fishing this pattern for a long time,
Yeah.
well over 20 years.
Yeah.
And basically it's dubbing, heavily weighted on a scud hook.
Right.
But,
And that size, the size that you've got here,
14s and 16s.
14s and 16s. Yeah.
If the fish have been hammered, you might go to an 18, but boy, a size 14 scud probably catch as many fish as any other fly out there, maybe even combined.
Right, right.
It's got a heavy population of scuds, and those fish are always looking for them.
Yeah. Now, I've actually watched these fish move through a weed bed and just knock them loose and come back and scoop them up, and it's a primary food source for those fish.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Now, an indicator too, that is another part of the essential piece of equipment for fishing Rocky Ford. And there's a variety that you can use. There's twist on, there's glue on, there's stick it with a toothpick,
yeah,
you know.
Porkies. Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds, Dave. And, you know, I think what people need to be concerned with first is that they can see the indicator. You know, if you go too small, you can't see it, it's not going to do you any good. On the flip side of that, these fish get somewhat indicator shy. And so if you're throwing a big indicator, you're probably not going to get as many takes. So what I like to tell people is to use the smallest indicator that they can see. Doesn't do any good if you can't see it.
Right.
That will float your fly. And I think that's where you want to be.
Right. You know, and Rocky Ford, just like any other water, now you've told them that, you know, go with that scud. Number one, below an indicator is going to be your first choice. Egg patterns are very popular.
They are, especially in the winter.
And
They'll catch fish year round, but they are.
absolutely. And what I'm going to suggest that people do before they get to Rocky Ford is stop right here at the Desert Flankler, because conditions change.
They change.
All the time. And I mean, even in the course of a day they will. But if you stop here and check in with Darc, he'll be able to give you the most current information about your pattern selection for what's working right then.
Yeah, yeah. There's people coming in the doors all the time telling me how it's fishing and what they're using. And I'm out there frequently myself, so it's pretty hard to beat up-to-date information.
That's it. You know what, Darc not only fishes Rocky Ford, but some other destinations you'll be interested to learn about. And we're going to be talking about those in just a second.
This is Dave Graybill, the Fishin Magician, and when I fish the Upper Columbia and the Madhow Rivers for steelhead, I stay at the Lake Pateros Inn. I can tie my boat right up out front and be minutes from the action. The famous Miller Hole on the Madhow is less than 2 miles away. The rooms are comfortable and surprisingly affordable, and I'll be making the Lake Pateros Inn my base camp. To learn how to book your room at the Lake Pateros Inn, log on to lakepaterosmotorin.com or call 866-444-1985.
Your Town Ford is kicking off the season with the best deals of the year. It's the Built Ford Tough Truck Event. Great power and amazing fuel economy means no compromises. And that's what you get in a truck built Ford Tough, like the Ford F-150, with a powerful and efficient EcoBoost engine. The power you want and the economy you need. Or Ford Super Duty, with its amazing 6.7-liter Power Stroke turbo diesel. If you're looking for power, payload, towing economy, your Town Ford's got the truck for you. Head to your Town Ford in East Wenatchee.
Well, you know, Darc's shop, as we mentioned earlier, is right in the middle of some of the best quality fishing you can find anywhere in the state, if not the western region, when you get down to it in many ways. But Darc doesn't only just fish this area. He has some really interesting fisheries that I want him to mention too. But one of the things that I've yet to go along with, but I am going to at some point, is your annual trip to Christmas Island. You've been doing that for several years now.
Yeah, I first went to Christmas Island in 1992.
Wow.
Well, maybe 93, somewhere in there. But it's
Right.
just an absolutely wonderful place. It's bone fishing, some trevally fishing, have beautiful white sand flats. It's
Oh,
100 miles from the equator, so it's 86, 87 degrees, 365 days a year.
You sent me a
Hard
picture
to beat.
after this last trip that really, my eyes popped out of their sockets. That was a trevally.
That was a
You've
trevally,
been
yeah.
chasing one of those big ones for a long time.
Yeah.
What did you estimate the weight of that one?
He was between 60 and 80. You know, I couldn't pick him up.
No, this thing was a monster, and he managed to finally land one on a fly rod.
Took me a long time. We hooked a lot of those guys before we finally landed one.
Oh, what a thrill! What a thrill!
They eat bonefish.
Yeah.
And bonefish are no slow pokes out there.
No, if you can imagine putting a hook in something like that.
It's fun stuff.
My gosh,
It's a great trip.
that's a great trip.
It is a great trip, yeah.
You know, you also have one of the best quality waters, what you call a still water. It's basically lake fishing here. And that's the back to the wall
Yep.
lake that is a private lake that you guide on.
Yeah. Back to the Wall was formerly known as Isaac's Ranch. And it's been under new ownership I think since 2004. And the new owners have just done a phenomenal job with it. They really have. And we have two lakes. One is 40 acres approximately, one's approximately 60 acres. And it just has absolutely phenomenal rainbow trout fishing with some browns and tigers to boot.
Oh, great, okay.
Yep.
Now, and in the past, and I fished that with you years ago.
Yeah, years ago.
And it seemed like one lake had the big fish in it, and we're talking rainbow to 10 pounds.
Or better.
Or better.
Yeah.
And then the upper lake was where the smaller fish were, but were what? These were 2 or 3 pounds
Yeah.
at that time, and I had to quit. I was cramped
Yeah.
to the point where I couldn't even land another fish. It was just a ton of fun.
Well, that's a good day. They're not always like that. Dave.
Well, that's fishing, I know. But
Yeah, we try to manage those lakes. We manage the what we call the upper lake, for numbers of fish. And, you know, you got to understand that these lakes are cyclical.
Oh,
You know, the average sizes are going to change, the numbers are going to change. But, you know, just overall on average, I'd say the upper lake fish average maybe 17 to 19 inches, and fish will go to 25 or even better. In the lower lake, an average would probably be 23 to 25 inches, and fish to over 30 inches are possible.
right.
Yeah.
Tremendous fishery.
It is
just
tremendous fishery,
A lot
yeah.
of fun. A lot of fun.
Fortunate to be on it.
Yeah. One of the other fisheries that a good friend of mine and Darce's, Raleigh Schmitten and I, we've sworn this is the year we're gonna make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
We are gonna go carp fishing with our fly rods
Yep.
to one of Darce's little hideaways that he's got where he knows where there's some big fish. And I have had the opportunity, it's been a few years now, that I actually fish for carp with a fly rod, and it's the closest thing I can imagine to bone fishing.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It's the
Waiting
closest
and-
thing we have here.
Yeah, wading in shallow flats and stalking these fish and
Yeah.
casting to them.
Yeah, or being on the bow of a boat and having me pull you along and
Right.
sight fishing to these fish. Yeah.
And people, until you've tried it, these carp are amazing. These are so hot. I remember the first one I hooked broke a 10-pound leader before I could even react. They are so fast
And strong.
and strong.
Yeah.
And it is really fun. And it's the peak is usually in the summer months. It can
Yeah.
start in the fairly early spring, but
Yeah.
usually in the summer when it's nice and warm and you can wade around in your shorts and yeah.
Yep. Put on a pair of sneakers and shorts and a nice flat shirt, and you feel like you're bone fishing right in
Yeah.
Washington.
Have plenty of backing and a minimum, better bring it your 8 weight for that type of thing.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. Well, now,
Yeah, it's
Darce,
gonna be fun.
it's going to be terrific. Now, if someone wanted to get a hold of you And just check into the shop, find out what conditions are, what's the latest thing going on, what's a good number. First of all, it's the Desert Flying Lure in Ephrata, Washington. And they should dial
509-754-4070.
Okay. And also, Darc has a good website now. He's had it up for a couple of years. It's very informative, and he even has some specials that are, it's worth checking that website out every once in a while to see what's going on there. And that's at desertflyingler.com. Well, Darc, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to get me down on the water. Your friend Jeremy showed me some of his tricks while we were out there today. I saw a lot of people I know. It's really fun. I mean, the forge is it's in our backyard, and we're spoiled, and it's fun. You can come over, you see friends while you're out there. Even on a bad day, you can always have a good time on Rocky Ford.
The goal of Battery Systems is to provide the best products combined with the most efficient service at competitive prices. I've found their people live up to this, so don't buy anything without talking to them. You should make their batteries and accessories your choice to power your vehicles and boats. This is Dave Graybill, and I choose Battery Systems to keep me running onshore and on the water. To find a Battery Systems product expert in a location near you, log on to batterysystems.net.
When you're fishing in Banks Lake, Lake Roosevelt, even Rufus Woods, the place to stay is at Cooley Playland in Electric City. They have camping and RV hookups right on the water. There's a launch with fuel and one of the best tackle shops in the area. You can get your state and tribal fishing licenses right there. Cooley Playland has been the friendly place to stay for fishermen for decades, and if you haven't camped there yet, you'll learn why. Call for reservations at 509-633-2657. Be sure to visit their website at cooleyplayland.com.
Well, here we are on the east bank of Rocky Ford. Made our way down through the reeds and mush and snow to the edge where Darc is set up to make his first cast. And as you can see by what we've been walking through, it doesn't make it easy for anglers to get around, and casting can be a challenge when you're surrounded by these reeds.
Over there. And over there.
Oh, we're seeing some fish here. Darc is just getting his line out using an indicator. And what do you got below that, Darc, to start off with? An egg pattern.
Egg pattern.
All right. We'll see.
I want to throw it right out there in the middle where we saw that fish rise, but I got to start close so we don't spook those.
You know, isn't that kind of a typical error a lot of people do, is come down and just cast as far as they can?
They race right up to the bank, clump, 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 and then throw it as far as they can.
Yeah. And then there's all those fish right at their feet. They just spooked away. Oh, there's a fish.
That is a parrotfish, and it's a mating thing. They're chasing each other.
Ah. So it might be kind of hard to distract them to get them to look at your bug, huh?
It could.
I notice you're using an indicator that you peg on your line. Those have a tendency to stay where you want them to be, don't they, Darc?
Yeah. I can see them pretty well. And, some of the smaller ones I just can't see very well anymore. I used to be able to.
Right. Now, how much leader are you putting below that, say, in this particular spot?
In this particular spot, I'm about 3 feet.
Okay.
And I've noticed that I've touched bottom, so that's something that you want to adjust, of course, as you move around. You want this little egg pattern to be near the bottom.
Exactly. Now that egg's got a few colors in it,
Yeah.
looks like.
customer was in the store last week, and he was doing extremely well on a pattern very similar to this. So I thought maybe it'd be worth a try.
Well, I think maybe we had a sniff there a little bit ago, so. The egg pattern takes can be a little subtle.
It can be very subtle, yep.
A lot different than if you're stripping a bunny leech or even a leech scud combo or something like that. Okay, back in business. Darcy, I see you're using that brand new sage rod. What, a Sage 1 they call it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a 9-foot 5-weight Sage 1. It's a 4-piece rod. Tracks very well. It's got nice crisp action. Fast enough to create quite a bit of line speed so you can get some distance and cast into the wind with it. I like to line it up with a 5-weight because I'm frequently casting. I fish a lot of still waters and I'm casting fairly long distance. If I was doing a lot of short fishing, not fishing over fishing up to 60 feet, say, maybe even 50 feet, a guy might overline at 1. But if you're throwing some line 60 feet or better, you should probably use the line that the rod was designed to handle. It takes X amount of line to properly load that rod, and you don't want to be picking up a lot of line and a lot of line with a 6-weight on a 5-weight. You're overloading at that point. I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
Right. So you got to have 20 feet of line out anyway to get into your weight forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to properly load it.
Yeah, to get it loaded.
Yeah, and that a 9-foot 5-weight is a good universal rod for trout fishing here in Central Washington, isn't it?
9-foot 5 and 6 weights are the most common rods used in this area.
Yeah. No one is happy about having to repair a vehicle after an accident. However, I was very happy when I chose First Choice Collision Center when I needed this service. I can't say enough about how they treated me. Fast and friendly just doesn't say enough. They have amazing technology to make a damaged vehicle look like new. At First Choice Collision Center, you can expect modern service with old-fashioned values. That was my experience, and I'm sure it will be yours too.
No matter where anglers are heading, whether it's Banks Lake, Lake Roosevelt, or Rufus Woods Reservoir, they all make the same stop. That's at Big Wally's in Coulee City. Here they find everything they need for a successful day on the water. Fuel, ice, a tackle shop, and people who know what they're selling behind the counter. State and tribal licenses, even a hot breakfast or lunch. When you're on the go, don't forget to stop at Big Wally's and visit their website at bigwallysfishing.com.
He didn't feel any steel. That's funny though. They get you when you're not looking every time. See a guy playing a fish upstream from us and got our attention, and we both looked back and, oh, where's the indicator? So you're seeing activity and maybe a nudge on that egg, but you're thinking maybe change strategy, huh?
Yeah, I think that these fish that we see rolling, these head and tail rises, are probably taking little mid-pupa. I haven't seen them for years.
You said maybe not 20 years I'd be seeing those coming off.
It's been a long time. They used to come off quite a bit. Right in the middle of winter, sometimes in the middle of a snowstorm.
Well, that's a big meal, boy. They're going to like that.
Yeah.
This is what they call the handicap dock, and as you can see, it's accessible. It's got a nice paved trail right down to it that leads you out to the pool where the ford spreads out below the bridge just above. And there are always fair numbers of some very nice fish hanging out right along the edges of this dock. Boy, he came flying out, didn't he?
Yeah. They must have moved his mouth. That's a good one to end on. These are the times I wish I didn't have to leave it too.
Oh, I know. It's the way it works, isn't it? Egg.
I don't want to say that.
Well, that was kind of a fun little demonstration. Thank
All right,
you very much.
4 minutes. Let's do one more.
All right. Well, Jeremy, I really appreciate you chasing me down.
Yeah? You made me sweat. You have to slow down next time. I guess I should have yelled at you.
Oh, where he went. Look at him. Look at him go. Oh my gosh. Look at that. He is. He's in the rock square on the other side. Oh my gosh. Good fish. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. There. God, tore your line right across the top of that rock. That is a hot fish.
That's the best one so far for a while. That's a good thing about fishing this time of year too.
Fish are hot, aren't they? Now he's trying to get you into the reeds on this side. Oh yeah. That's a good one. But that is a beautiful Rocky Ford rainbow. Look at that. Look at him. Jeremy, that's a nice fish.
Pretty good fish.
Pretty good fish.
Let's do it again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The Evinrude E-Tech. It's a dream come true.
For E-Tech engine sales and service and repair of all boats and motors, call Lyle's Boats and Motors in Kashmir. 663-5191.
Look at that.
3 jumps.
3 jumps on that one. You know, that's great. 3 jumps on that fish, and I hear people say that these fish aren't frisky, but boy, that just shows you. It is a great color on that fish. Woohoo! Very healthy.
Okay, again, Dave, I'd rather not touch him, so.
Yeah, you just have this.
I'm just gonna use that little guy on there.
Yeah. Slide it down your line.
It's not done.
No. And that's it. Very nice. Way to go, Darc.
That's fun.
That is fun. Oh, Darc was just saying he caught that fish on just this little simple scud pattern, and you said you've been fishing that since '81 down here?
Certainly sometime in the early 80s.
Well, I know I've tried a lot of different things, Darc, down here, but that scud day in, day out under an indicator, That's the ticket, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there are probably more fish caught on scuds out here than anything else. Maybe anything else combined even. And see, that fish just came up.
Oh, yes.
I sell more scuds than anything else for out here at the store.
Yeah.
It's just what people want. And they want it for a reason. It's effective.
Well, you can see these fish go through the weeds and knock them loose, and that's their primary food source.
Yep. That it is.
And the ones you tie, are they weighted?
They're heavily weighted.
Heavily weighted, yeah.
I
So
like
they're
to
gonna
get them down to the bottom or near. Whoop, there he was.
Ooh.
That wasn't very smart. I like to get them down to the bottom or near the bottom quickly so the fish doesn't see it up in the water column. That's not where they're used to seeing scuds. And they've had lots of people dapping those things in front of their faces, and they learn the real deal isn't up in the water column.
Gotcha. You know, that's the hazard of missing a fish like that. Your gear comes flying right into the weeds every time. Wow, when he came up, Darc, I didn't think that was that great of a fish, but now I see the bend in your rod.
It's okay.
Boy, it is hard to hook them when you've got that much line out. Aha. Another very healthy fish, yeah. Oh. Showing off for the camera.
Pretty healthy to me.
Boy, I guess. Oh, another nice fish came up just below. Just that quick and easy. And away he goes. All right. Nicely done. That same fish has been goofing with you for a long time. Oh, and there he goes. You have had hit after. You've had 20 hits out here, standing in the same spot. Here I'm trying to cast my arm off for distance and they're 10 feet away.